Welcome. Today we're going to be taking a look at CloudAge. This is a 1 to 4 player deck building resource management science fiction game. 15 years ago, the secret society known as the Cloud set fires to oil production facilities, destabilizing the planet and creating a wasteland. So you'll be taking the role of an explorer, exploring with your airship from city to city, gathering resources, completing projects, and battling the Cloud militia, trying to become the greatest explorer. How do you become the greatest explorer and win the game? By having the most victory points at the end of the final round. Now that we know what the winning condition is, let's take a look at the components, setup, and how gameplay works in CloudAge. Now let's take a look at the components. You have double-sided game boards. At the top you have the number and side. Each hex represents a space. Fines are rewards outside of cities. Cities, they have a name, a militia number for combat, and a reward. Production board. Around the outside of the production board is the victory point track, and in the center of the production board you have the production track, and based on your location you'll pay an energy cost to produce water and possibly victory points. Along this track you also have bonuses. Start player marker, double-sided city board. This has a space to dock your drone, and spaces for actions. Legacy tiles, scenario cards. These are used for specific scenarios and have a book action at the bottom. Story cards. These are used based on the campaign, and the book action is at the bottom. City cards. On the city cards you have a number. This will be useful when it goes to the player's navigation deck. You have a new growth bonus, resources marked in the center, and bonus actions indicated in those resource boxes. Cloud sleeves. These are used to cover your city cards. Mission cards. When you're getting additional mission cards, you must cover up one spot of the mission cards that you already have. Project cards. In the top left you have the cost. In the top right you have the effects. In the middle of the card you have the name and a picture. And at the bottom of the card you have victory points, the description, and number. Overview card, water tokens in 1 and 5, metal tokens in 1 and 5, new growth tiles, there are 2 types, green and wilted, a cloth bag, a solo board. In each player color you have an airship board. On the left, top, and right you have spaces for upgrades. On the left are your movement upgrades, allows you to move more. At the top you have combat upgrades, which allows you to have better combat. And on the right you have upgrades for planting. This helps when planting new growth. In the middle, you have a solar panel. Below the solar panel, you have a round track. To the right of the round track, you have a distribution and game end scoring. And then below that, you have the energy track and then the phase summary. An airship, production marker, energy marker, drone, victory point marker, 50 or 100 victory point tile, markers, navigation cards, introduction scenario booklet, and finally, your rulebook. Now let's take a look at the setup. We're going to be setting this up for a 3-player game and the first scenario, which takes 13 steps. Step 1, place the game boards. For 1 to 3 players, you will use 1A, 2A, and 3A. For a 4-player game, you would use 1B, 2A, and 3A. You place them next to each other in the center of the play area. Step 2, place the production board. Place the production board next to the game boards in the center of the play area. Step 3, shuffle and place project cards. Shuffle all the production cards that have a 0 in the bottom right corner and place them face down next to the production board. Step 4, create supply pools. Place water tokens and metal tokens within reach of all the players. Step 5, place the city board. Place the city board A side up next to the game boards. Step 6, place city cards. Shuffle the city cards and get 3 stacks of 8 cards each. Then you'll place each stack in a cloud sleeve and place them next to the city board. Step 7, get player components. Choose a color and get the corresponding airship board, airship, production marker, energy marker, drone, victory point marker, victory point tile, markers, and navigation cards. Step 8, place player components. Players will place their airship board A side up in the middle of their player area. Place the movement and combat upgrades on your airship. You will not need the planting upgrades for this scenario. The airship will go on the start space on the game board. Energy marker will go on 2 on your airship board. Production will go on 0 on the production board. The drone will go in the dock space next to the city board. You'll place your victory point marker on 0 and the victory point tile underneath with the 50 side up. Then you'll place the markers right to left on your round track. For this scenario, for 1 to 3 players, you would place 7, and for 4 players, you would place 6. Step 9, create navigation decks. Shuffle your navigation cards and place them to the left of your airship board. Step 10, get starting resources. Each player will get 2 water and 2 metal. Step 11, get project cards. Each player draws 5 project cards to their hand. Step 12, choose a first player and give them the first player marker. Step 13, lay out the scenario. Lay out the scenario card next to the play area. Now let's take a look at the gameplay. A game consists of a number of rounds based on the number of players and the chapter or scenario. This will be between 6 to 8 rounds. Each round consists of 3 phases: production, movement, and action. Now let's look at each phase in detail. Phase 1, production. This is where you will advance the story and gain resources in 3 steps. Step 1, pass the start player and check books. You'll pass the first player marker to the left, except for in round 1. Then you will check the books. If the marker to the left of a book was removed last round, the book is active this round and all players may take the book action at the bottom of the chapter or scenario card. Step 2, produce water and victory points. Simultaneously, players can pay the energy above their production markers on the production track to get the water and possible victory points depicted at the bottom of their location on the production track. Keep in mind that you can choose to produce at a lower level. Step 3, draw 2 navigation cards. Simultaneously, players will draw 2 navigation cards, and for the lower value card, they will get the energy or project cards of that number and discard that card. Then they will place the other navigation card on top of that discarded card, and it will be used for the movement phase. Keep in mind that if the navigation deck runs out, you will shuffle and refill from your discard pile. Then we move to phase 2, the movement phase. In turn order, you will carry out 3 steps. Step 1, move your airship. Determine your movement points by adding the top discarded navigation card number +1 from your solar panel, +1 per movement upgrade, and any project card movements. If you choose to not use your solar panel, you would gain 2 energy. You would then move your airship up to that number, making sure that you end up on one of these city hexes. Any finds are gained as soon as you move into the space. Step 2, Cloud Militias. When you first visit a city, you have the option of fighting the Cloud Militia and getting the reward. You must have the combat number greater than or equal to the city's combat value, and your combat number is the combat upgrades at the top of your airship board, plus project cards, plus navigation cards drawn. Navigation cards can be drawn, but cost 1 energy for the first navigation card, and 2 energy or 3 victory points for each card after. If you are greater than or equal to, you would gain the reward. And then step 3, play the leftmost round marker in the city you are located. Take the corresponding reward from that round space, and by marking that city, that lets you know that you are not able to fight in any future visits to that city. Once all the players have taken their movements, we move to phase 3, the action phase. In turn order, you'll place your drone on a city action and take the action. The actions can be collect resources, build, or plant new growth. The plant new growth action is not available in the first scenario. To collect resources, this is carried out in 5 steps. Step 1, you will choose one of the 3 sections on the city board. Step 2, you'll place your drone on one of the resource boxes. Then in turn order, the other players will do the same. Step 3, remove the top navigation card and place it in your navigation discard. Step 4, get the new growth bonus, drawing 1 to 3 new growth tiles, or in scenario 1, taking 1 to 3 water. Step 5, in turn order, get resources from the card and take a bonus action if it is depicted in your area. If you see a wrench, you'll get 1 resource of your choice, or build 1 upgrade. If it's a navigation icon, you will discard a navigation card from your discard from the game. Then we will return all the drones to the dock. To build, you'll place your drone on the build space on the city, then carry out 2 build actions. You can upgrade your airship and or play a project card. For the upgrades, you would choose the type, movement, combat, or new growth, build the lowest level of that upgrade, keeping in mind that you get 5 water for upgrading all of 1 type. For the project card, you pay the cost in the top left. If you have to play cards, you would place them in the discard, and then place the card under the matching phase on your airship board, making sure to get any immediate effects. These are the arrows pointing down. Then, in clockwise order, other players can take 1 build action. Then place the drone back at the dock. To plant new growth, which you cannot do in scenario 1, you would place your drone on the plant new growth space, check your plant growth ability, you have a base number of 2. You would be able to play up to that many of the new growth tiles that you have collected. You would gain the resources on the front side of the tiles, and then you would place them on the game board face down on a space connected to your airship. If you cover a find with a green growth tile, you would get that find immediately. Then other players can get a resource or take one build action. And you would finally return your drone to the dock. Once all the players have taken an action, we would move to the next round, and rounds would continue until the end of the final round. At the end of the final round, we would go into the final scoring. Final scoring takes 3 steps. Step 1, produce one last time. Step 2, carry out 2 build actions. In step 3, count victory points for missions, markers in cities with legacy tiles, highest upgrade for each type, and played project cards. If you want to continue your campaign, you would place all the legacy tiles and project cards in the green bag. Once the players have added their score, the player with the most victory points is the best explorer and wins CloudAge.